Your eyes aren't even open yet, but your hand already knows where to go. It slides across the dark, finds the cold edge of the glass, and lifts it toward your face before a single clear thought has formed inside your head. You are awake now. The phone made sure of it. You probably think this is just a bad habit, a modern one, something you picked up sometime in the last 15 years, like almost everyone around you. But the real answer is far stranger. The thing pulling your hand toward that screen is older than the screen. It is older than electricity. It may be older than your species. To understand it, you have to go back, not to the moment you grab the phone, but to the half second before, the moment you simply wake. Something happens to your body in the first minutes of waking, and it happens whether you want it to or not. Your brain releases a sharp pulse of a hormone called cortisol. Researchers call it the cortisol awakening response, and it is one of the most dependable events in all of human biology. Within the first 30 minutes after your eyes open, your cortisol can climb by more than 50%. You don't experience this as fear. You experience it as alertness, as a faint, wordless pressure behind your eyes that says, "Pay attention, something might be happening." Where did that pressure come from? Why would a body, safe in a warm bed, flood itself with a stress hormone the instant it wakes? Because for almost all of human history, waking was the single most dangerous transition of the day. You opened your eyes into a world that could kill you. A predator might be circling. The fire might have gone out in the night. Someone in your group might have wandered off or fallen ill or never come back. Sleep had left you blind and still for hours, and the world had kept moving the entire time. So your brain learned to wake up scanning. The very first question your ancestors' minds asked each morning was painfully simple. What did I miss? Now, hold that question in your mind, because that is exactly the question the phone answers. What did I miss while I was gone? Who messaged me? What happened overnight? What shifted in the world that moved on without me for those dark, unconscious hours? Your cortisol opens the door, and the phone is standing right there in the doorway, glowing softly, promising to tell you everything you missed. Your body is asking a question that is tens of thousands of years old. The screen has simply learned how to answer it. But here is the trap. The answer is never quite enough, and that is not an accident. It is a design. In the middle of the last century, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner uncovered something genuinely unsettling about reward. He found that the most powerful way to make a behavior nearly impossible to stop was not to reward it every single time. It was to reward it only sometimes, unpredictably. He called this a variable ratio schedule, and it is the exact mechanism that sits at the heart of every slot machine ever built. When a creature cannot predict whether the next action will pay off, it keeps acting. The uncertainty itself becomes the hook. Your phone is a variable ratio machine. Sometimes you unlock it and something is waiting, a message that matters, a small piece of good news. Sometimes there is nothing there at all, and because you can never know in advance which kind of morning it will be, you check again and again. So why does not knowing pull so hard? The answer lives in a tiny cluster of cells buried deep in the middle of your brain. A neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz spent years recording the activity of dopamine neurons, the cells most people casually call the pleasure cells. What he found overturned that whole idea. Dopamine does not spike when you receive the reward. It spikes before, in the moment of anticipation, when the reward is possible but not yet certain. And it fires hardest of all when the outcome is unpredictable. Sit with that. Dopamine is not the feeling of winning, it is the feeling of maybe. So look again at what is unfolding in that dark bedroom. Your cortisol rises and asks the ancient question. Your dopamine system flares around the uncertain answer the screen might be holding, and your hand begins to move before you have consciously decided anything at all. You are not weak, you are not lazy. You are a creature built to scan a dangerous dawn, holding a device engineered with enormous care to feel like that dawn might contain anything. And there is one more layer. It might be the strangest of all. A researcher named Larry Rosen has spent decades studying what these devices do to the human nervous system. In one line of work, he and his colleagues watched what happens when people are kept from checking their phones. What climbed was not boredom, it was anxiety. The body treated a silenced, unreachable phone the way it might treat a small, ongoing threat, a quickened pulse, a scattered attention, a low unease that only the screen could quiet. Think carefully about what that means. The device does not only answer the morning's question, it has quietly become part of the question. Your brain has folded the phone into its own threat detection system. Being without it now registers as a kind of exposure, as if you have left part of your own awareness in another room. So, is the phone soothing your ancient alarm, or is it the thing setting the alarm off in the first place? By now, it is both. There is a reason this loop is so hard to see while you are inside it. When you first wake, your brain is not fully online. The thinking, deciding, restraining part of you, the front of your brain, comes back slowly, groggily, sometimes over many minutes. Scientists call that fog sleep inertia. The reaching hand does not wait for the fog to lift. The instinct is awake long before the part of you that might say no. That is why it feels like the phone is in your hand before you chose to pick it up. In a real sense, you didn't. The old part chose, the new part arrived late and simply found itself already scrolling. There is also the question of what exactly you are scanning for, because it is rarely a predator. More often, it is people. An anthropologist named Robin Dunbar has argued for years that the human brain grew so large for one main reason: to keep track of each other. To survive in a group, your ancestors had to monitor a tangled web of relationships. Who was allied with whom, who had quarreled, who was rising in standing and who was slipping. Social information was survival information. Falling out of step with your group could be as deadly as any animal in the dark, so the morning scan was never only, is there a threat? It was also, where do I stand with my people? And that is the question your messages answer. Who reached out? Who went quiet? What was said in the group while you were asleep and unable to defend your place in it? The unease that pulls you to check first thing is not just fear of danger. It is the much older fear of being left out of the conversation your survival once depended on. Picture one of your distant ancestors at the mouth of a shelter tens of thousands of years ago. At the first grey light of dawn, they wake. The cortisol rises. They lift their head and they scan the tree line, the embers, the sleeping shapes of the people they love. They are reading the world for anything that changed in the night, anything that might mean danger or might mean that everyone is safe. Only when the scan comes back clear does the body soften and the day begin. You do the same thing. You just point the scan at a screen. The tree line has become a feed. The embers have become a battery icon. The sleeping faces of your group have become a list of names that lit up while you slept. The instinct has not changed at all, only its target has. And here is the cruel twist. The ancient scan used to end. The world would be checked, found safe, and the alarm would quiet. But a feed never ends. There is always one more thing that might have happened, one more name, one more maybe. The scan that once took a single careful look now has nowhere to stop. The ancestors who woke up scanning were the ones who survived, the ones who woke slowly, who didn't bother to check, who assumed the night had changed nothing. Those minds were quietly edited out of the human story. You are descended from the warriors, from the ones who needed to know what they missed. That need carried your bloodline alive across 1,000 dangerous dawns, and it is still here, still loyal, still standing. standing guard inside you. And now that same ancient need wakes you in a safe room behind a locked door in a world where almost nothing happened while you slept, and sends your hand reaching across the dark for a small glass rectangle that promises every single morning to finally tell you what you missed. You can interrupt it if you want to, not by force, by noticing. Tomorrow, before you reach, just catch the reaching. Feel the pressure behind your eyes that arrives before any thought. Notice that your hand already knows the way in the dark. That alone, that half second of seeing the instinct instead of obeying it, is the one move the slot machine was never built to survive. Your eyes aren't even open yet, but some part of you, far older than you, is already awake and standing guard. And it has simply learned that the thing it has been searching for across 50,000 years of dangerous mornings now glows.